Rain had always sounded musical on the corrugated roof of the wheelwright's bicycle repair shop, but on the night the courier vanished, the downpour became a drum roll, rattling the windows hard enough to shake the racks of gleaming sprockets. Maya Patel wiped grease from her hands and glanced toward the showroom, where her younger brother Theo was closing the register. A flash of lightning whitened the street outside and backlit a lone rider pedaling furiously through sheets of water. The aura of the headlamp flickered, then steadied as the cyclist skidded to a stop in front of the shop. "Open late," the rider called. A familiar voice, Elias Vance, the lanky courier who spent more time on a saddle than most people spent in bed. "For our best customer?" "Always," Theo answered, unlocking the door. Elias pushed his battered road bike inside, rainwater pooling around his shoes. "She's singing strange notes tonight," he said, patting the top tube. "Rear derailleur keeps hopping gears. Got one last delivery across Southbridge before midnight. Think you can coax her into line?" "Give me 15, Maya said, eyes already scanning the drivetrain. She loved efficiency under pressure. It felt like conducting an orchestra. While she swapped a frayed cable, Theo poured Elias a mug of instant coffee and listened to his route details. Pick up a parcel from the telegraph office, deliver it to a house on the far side of the river, then sprint back before the storm grew reckless. Southbridge, though, had a reputation that made even night couriers lower their eyes. The iron truss span, completed a century ago and rattling ever since, crossed the churning Bracken River, where tides introduced river fog thick enough to swallow lantern light. The bridge was also the locus of Hollowford's oldest bicycle legend, an apparition known as the Phantom Cyclist. Supposedly, during storms, a rider in antique garb appeared mid-span, pedalling silently, only to vanish when approached. The tale surfaced in whispers at the shop whenever chain grease and folklore mixed. "Southbridge," Theo said, handing Elias his mug. "Take the river road instead. You'll add 10 minutes, but keep your soul." Elias laughed. "Clients pay for speed, not detours. I'll be fine. The only ghost on that bridge will be me flying past." He drank the coffee, clapped Theo on the shoulder, and wheeled the repaired bike out into the tempest. Maya watched the red blink of his taillight until it disappeared in the curtains of rain. Something uneasy tugged at her chest, but she returned to cleaning her tools, telling herself that fine machinery and a confident rider could outrun superstition. Morning arrived grey and sullen. Maya and Theo opened the shop at 9, but no messenger burst in to tell stories of victory. By noon, the courier company phoned. Elias had failed to return. His tracker still pinged from the centre of Southbridge until midnight, when the signal died. Police trawled the swelling river, found nothing. The courier's satchel, empty, washed ashore near the docks, its leather warped and bleeding ink. News spread quickly, and with it returned the legend, talk of the phantom cyclist claiming another life. Guilt lacquered the siblings like grime. They had been the last to see Elias. Maya replayed every step of the repair. Theo replayed every reason he should have pressed the detour harder. That afternoon, Theo dug into archived newspapers at the library, while Maya inspected the courier's bike, which police returned after finding it leaning intact against the bridge railing. No fractures, no chain slippage. The machine was sound. Yet something had lifted Elias clean off it. Theo returned at closing with a folder of clippings. "Listen. November 6, 1924. Local Telegraph courier Silas Gray lost on Southbridge during record storm. Bicycle found upright at midpoint, lantern still burning. Courier presumed drowned, Parcel undelivered. Maya frowned. Parcel undelivered, like Elias. What was in it? Telegraph office said it contained a letter, but destination line smudged by water. Authorities never identified the recipient. Sound familiar? Maya considered the empty satchel. If the parcel Elias carried was meant for the same address, maybe the bridge is replaying history. They compared photographs. Silas Gray's bicycle, with its unique chain guard etched with ivy, looked eerily similar to the faint impression left by rust on the bridge rail where Elias's bike rested. The siblings felt the strange thrill of puzzle pieces clicking. Grandma Neela, whose stories scented every family dinner, happened to phone that night. Maya mentioned Southbridge, and the old woman's voice tensed like an over-tightened spoke. "I crossed that bridge once, child," Neela said. "Heard wheels spinning behind me, though the planks were empty." Silas Gray was said to ride forever, searching for his missing letter. Some say if another courier passes during a storm, Silas mistakes them for an apprentice and drags them to finish the errand in the land of the drowned. "Land of the drowned?" Theo mouthed, eyebrows raised. "You asked," Grandma Neela replied soberly. "Ghosts bargain in strange currencies. If his delivery completes, they say he'll rest and release whoever he's taken." After the call, the siblings locked the shop and stared at the gusty street. Rational minds wrestled mythology, but their friend was missing. Hope sometimes grows where logic ends. "What if we find Silas's letter?" Theo said. "It's been a century. Paper doesn't last that long in a river," Maya answered. "But what if it never reached the water? What if it's still waiting?" Theo argued that telegraph offices kept duplicates. They could cross-reference logs. Maybe the address survived. Maya, whose adventures typically involved torque wrenches, found herself agreeing. The search began the next morning. The Hollowford Telegraph Museum occupied a decommissioned switchboard hall smelling of waxed wood. Docent Barclay, spry despite retirement, delighted in visitors. When Theo explained they sought a misfiled 40-year-old, he hesitated, then extended the number. 98-year-old dispatch slip. Barclay chuckled but allowed access. Hours later they found it, a carbon copy listing recipient as number 9 Beacon Row. Beacon Row no longer existed on modern maps, but Barclay produced an 1890 maritime chart. Beacon Row had been the terrace near the old lighthouse, demolished after automation rendered keepers obsolete. One cottage remained, half engulfed by bramble, overlooking where river met sea. Theo traced the coordinate. If Silas meant to deliver there and never did, his loop isn't broken. Elias might be with him, trying. Maya exhaled slowly. "Then we have to finish the route." They prepared that afternoon. Maya overhauled her touring bike with belt drive, less chance of chain jump or spectral entanglement. Theo packed waterproof panniers, thermos, rope, first aid kit, old brass bicycle bell. "In case ghosts appreciate period accuracy," he joked, and a portable ham radio. Thunderclouds bruised the horizon, promising the conditions Silas favoured. As dusk deepened, they pedalled toward Southbridge. Wind rattled street signs, and the scent of ozone mingled with river brine. At the bridge entrance, police tape fluttered uselessly, where traffic barricades tried to deter curiosity. The siblings ducked under and rolled onto slick planks. The headlamps carved tunnels through fog that boiled up from the black water below. Halfway across, the air temperature dropped sharply. Theo's breath smoked. A silvery ring, like spokes spinning but striking no surface, echoed ahead of them. Maya signalled to stop. In the gloom appeared a cyclist, flat handlebars, high-wheeled safety bicycle, oilskin cape snapping like bat wings behind. The figure's presence absorbed surrounding noise. Even the wind seemed to hush in awe. Light emanated not from a lamp, but from the rims themselves, glowing a pale phosphor. Theo involuntarily pushed forward, pedals turning as if hypnotized. "Stay near me," Maya warned, grabbing his sleeve. She forced her rational mind to take inventory. The apparition's wheels turned, yet left no wet tracks. Its coat fluttered, yet the fog remained undisturbed. The ghost halted beside them, head obscured beneath a salted helmet. Slowly, it extended a hand clutching a weathered leather cylinder, Courier canister used for important documents. The gesture was unmistakable. "Take it." Maya swallowed. Her impulse screamed to run, but another part acknowledged the bargain. She reached out, her fingers brushing chill, not solid, but not air either, as though pressing through static. The canister grew weight in her hand, real weight, while the rider faded, dissolving into mist that reknit with the rain. Theo stared at the cylinder. "We just accepted mail from a ghost." Maya shivered. "Then we'd better deliver." They raced off the bridge. Once on firm ground, sound returned. Thunder, river roar, their own laboured breaths. Safely under a street lamp, they unlatched the canister. Inside, wrapped in oilskin and bound with twine, lay a single envelope sealed with cracked red wax. The handwriting, in sweeping plum ink, addressed, "Mrs. Constance Gray, 9 Beacon Row." "Gray," Theo whispered. "Silas's wife, or mother." Maya re-secured the package. "If the cottage is still standing, that's where we're going." The lighthouse road turned to gravel, then to 2 narrow ruts choked by willow roots. Rain thickened. Their tires slid but pressed on, guided by the intermittent flash of the automated beacon sweeping across the headland. At last, framed by skeletal trees, they found a stone cottage leaning seaward, windows boarded, roof shingles missing like knocked-out teeth. The number 9 dangled on one nail. They propped bikes against a rusted gate and approached warily. The front door, swollen with moisture, resisted until Maya's shoulder persuaded it. Inside, dust lay on every surface, except a narrow path revealing recent footprints, bootprints dried into mud. Elias? Hope quickened. Theo lit his headlamp. Furniture draped in mildewed sheets shaped ghostly silhouettes of their own. They followed the footprints to an upstairs bedroom where an ancient roll-top desk sat beneath a cracked skylight. The desk's cubbies overflowed with faded letters tied in blue ribbon, but centre stage lay an open journal bearing fresh entries in 2 distinct hands. One, cramped and sepia, dated 1924, ended mid-sentence. The other, bold blue ink, dated 2 nights ago, Elias's handwriting. He had written, "Found by bridge," voice said, "Finish what I could not. I don't know if I'm alive or dreaming. The rider waits outside. I feel a tide pulling at my bones." Theo closed the cover with shaking fingers. He was here, maybe still close. They descended to a parlour where the fireplace held ash too recent to be relic. A damp sleeping roll suggested longer stay. Maya imagined Elias camping, unable to locate recipient, trapped in echo of Silas's failure. She retrieved the envelope from the cylinder. There's only one way to end this. With resolute steps, she placed the letter upon the mantel. Nothing happened. Perhaps they needed a witness. Maya struck a match, ignited an old brass lantern, and set it beside the letter. Shadow wavered, projecting swirling shapes. Wind moaned through cracked panes, escalating into a howl. The flames bent sideways, though no door was open. At once, a shape materialized near the fireplace, tall, transparent man in courier cap, his rain-slicked coat glistening though absent any droplets. Silas Gray. His face, half seen, bore eyes bright with longing. He regarded the envelope, then the siblings, and inclined his head in solemn gratitude. Another shape entered behind him, Elias, corporeal, yet somehow drained, as if returning from fever sleep. He staggered forward, confusion clouding his features until he recognized Maya and Theo. "You found me," he rasped. Maya rushed to steady him. Theo, mouth agape, could not pry his gaze from Silas. The ghost lifted one hand toward the letter. Spectral fingertips hovered, trembling above the wax. He could not touch it. Maya understood. It must be opened by mortal hands. Carefully she broke the seal. Inside were 2 sheets. The first, elegantly penned, read, "My dearest Constance, the Lighthouse Commission has granted my transfer. I will return home by month's end. Hold faith in the hum of wheels and the promise of dawn. Yours, Silas." The second sheet, added later in less steady script, read only, "I'm riding home now. Wait for me." Maya placed the papers on the mantel so the spectre could see. Silas's outline shivered, then brightened until the room filled with pearly light. He gazed upward, as if hearing a call none else could, and as he faded, the howling wind softened into a lullaby. The envelope browned at the edges, crumbling into ash that drifted like autumn leaves and dissolved. Silence settled. The house smelled of sea salt and lavender, notes from a century gone. Elias sagged into an armchair. "I tried to get out," he said, voice hoarse. "Every path led back to the bridge. He needed someone to finish the delivery. I couldn't find the address." "Thank you." Theo handed him water. "Let's just go home." Before leaving, Maya slipped Silas's diary into her pannier. History deserved completion too. The ride back was strangely calm. The storm dissipated, clouds parting to reveal fractured moonlight. Southbridge loomed ahead, but its menace had lifted. They crossed unchallenged. Halfway, Elias hesitated. "He's gone," he whispered. "I can feel it, like a weight lifted off the air." On the far side, police spotlights beckoned. Search teams still combed the river. Officers rushed at the sight of Elias, alive though gaunt. Questions exploded, but the siblings merely said they found him wandering the lighthouse road, an answer factual enough, if trimmed of spectral flourishes. Days later, the wheelwright's shop thrummed again with business, yet something intangible had changed. Theo hung Silas's refurbished diary in a shadow box on the back wall, next to a worn brass bicycle bell he'd recovered from the cottage. Beneath the display, he lettered a plaque. "Every ride tells a story. Finish yours." Customers noticed renewed vigor in Maya's tune-ups and in Theo's banter. The legend of Southbridge evolved too. Folks still spoke of the phantom cyclist, but now the tale contained an ending. When storms rolled in, newer couriers crossed the bridge without trepidation, claiming they sensed not dread but a tailwind, as if an unseen rider propelled them onward. One crisp evening, Elias returned to the shop with pastries and gratitude. "Going back en route next week," he announced. "Maybe avoid bridges for a bit, but I won't stop riding." Maya clinked a socket wrench like a toast. "Good. Roads need wheels, and wheels need roads." Theo asked, "Do you remember what happened the moment he took you?" Elias paused. "I remember the feeling of being late, so late it hurt. Then a hand, cold as riverstone, touched my shoulder. Darkness, except for 2 glowing wheels guiding me. When you delivered the letter, the cold released me." He said nothing, but I heard a whisper. Thanks. Night settled beyond the shop windows, and rain began to tap a gentle rhythm on the roof, no longer a drum roll but an easy cadence, like pedals turning on a familiar road. The siblings listened, hearts steady, knowing some ghosts ride on memories and some on metal, but all seek the same finish line, to be heard, to arrive, to rest. And whenever thunder growled, they remembered that sometimes a story waits nearly a century for the right mechanics to set it spinning again,